Right now, there is a $1 trillion industry that profits exclusively from your financial confusion. $1 trillion. And the product they are selling is not a service, not a convenience, not a reward. The product they are selling is debt. Your debt. Packaged, priced, and delivered to your wallet in a sleek piece of plastic that fits perfectly in your pocket and destroys wealth perfectly over time. Here is the number that should stop you cold. The average American household carrying credit card debt owes $8,500 at the average interest rate of 29%, which is where most major credit cards currently sit. That balance costs you $2,465 per year in interest alone, every single year, just to stay in place. Think about that for a second. You are not paying down debt. You are paying rent on debt. And the landlord is a bank that spent $4 billion last year studying your psychology. Make sure you never stop paying. But here is the question you need to sit with right now. Not the balance on your card, not the minimum payment. The question is, do you actually understand how that interest is calculated? Because most people do not. And that ignorance is worth billions of dollars to the people collecting it. And by the end of this video, you will never look at a credit card the same way again. Stay with me, because this is where it gets dark. Credit card companies are not financial services companies. They are behavioral psychology companies that happen to issue credit. The distinction matters enormously, because it explains every single design decision that went into the card in your wallet right now. The minimum payment, the rewards program, the credit limit increases you never asked for, the 0% introductory offers, the tap-to-pay technology, the one-click checkout integration. None of these features were designed for your convenience. Every single one was designed by teams of psychologists and behavioral economists whose only job was to answer one question: how do we get people to spend more than they planned and pay less than they owe? But here's what nobody tells you. The credit card industry is one of the most heavily researched industries in human history. They know more about your spending psychology than you do. They know that contactless payments increase spending by 12 to 18% compared to cash. They know that reward points make people feel like spending is earning. They know that seeing a minimum payment option anchors your brain to that number, not the full balance. Think about that for a second. Every time you see a minimum payment on your statement, your brain registers that as the cost of the purchase, not the full balance, not the total interest you will pay, the minimum, which is exactly what the bank designed it to show you. In 1987, the Federal Reserve found that before minimum payments existed, most Americans paid their credit card balance in full every month. Then banks introduced the minimum payment option. Within a decade, the percentage of Americans carrying a monthly balance went from under 20% to over 60%. That was not a coincidence. It was engineering. And here is the cliffhanger. The minimum payment is not even the most dangerous feature of your credit card. What I am about to show you next is the mechanism that turns a $5,000 balance into a 22-year financial prison. Here is what your credit card company hopes you never calculate. You have $5,000 in credit card debt. The interest rate is 29%, which is the current average across major U.S. and issuers. Your minimum payment this month is $100. You pay it. You feel responsible. You feel like you are handling it. But here's what nobody tells you. At that rate, with that minimum payment, you will be making payments for 22 years and 4 months. And the total amount you will pay is not $5,000. It is $13,800. Pause. You borrowed $5,000. You will repay $13,800. The bank will collect $8,800 in pure interest, $1,760% return on their $5,000 risk, while you spent 22 years making monthly payments on a vacation, a car repair, or a medical bill you forgot about years ago. Think about that for a second. $8,800. Gone. Not to a mortgage that builds equity, not to an investment that compounds, to a bank. For the privilege of borrowing money you already paid back 3 times over. Now here is the comparison that makes this physically painful. If you had taken that same $100 per month, the minimum payment you were already paid, and invested it in an S&P 500 index fund instead of paying credit card interest, At the historical average return of 10% annually over 22 years, you would have accumulated $91,000. $91,000 versus $13,800 in interest paid. That is the gap between the credit card life and the wealth-building life. Not intelligence, not income, the same $100 per month pointed in a completely different direction. And here is the callback to what I told you at the very start. The bank spent $4 billion figuring out how to make sure you never run that calculation, because the moment you do, the game changes completely. But the game is about to change, because what Ryan discovered when he finally sat down and ran this math will show you exactly what is possible on the other side. Meet Ryan, 28 years old, marketing coordinator in Atlanta, Georgia, making $58,000 per year, which is decent money. Not rich, but solid. He has 3 credit cards. Combined balance, $11,200 across all 3. He pays the minimums every month. He has been paying the minimums for 3 years. His credit score is 640. Not terrible. Not great. Good enough to get approved for things. Too low to get the best rates on anything. But here's what nobody tells you about Ryan's situation. He genuinely believes he is managing his debt responsibly. He has never missed a payment. He has never defaulted. He checks his credit score regularly. By every surface-level metric, Ryan is a responsible credit card user. What Ryan does not know is that in the 3 years he has been making minimum payments, he has paid $4,300 in interest and reduced his principal balance by only $900. He started at $11,200. He is currently at $10,300. 3 years of monthly payments. $900 of actual progress. Think about that for a second. $4,300 gone. Not building equity. Not compounding. Not purchasing anything. Paid to 3 banks for the privilege of carrying a balance that barely moved. But here is the part of Ryan's story that changes everything. One Tuesday evening, after receiving yet another credit card statement showing a balance that seemed impossible to move, Ryan sat down with a calculator and ran the actual numbers for the first time. Not the minimum payment. The actual payoff math. The total interest. The timeline. The opportunity cost. He ran it 3 times because he did not believe the first result, and what he saw permanently changed how he thought about every dollar he earned and every purchase he considered. Because this is what matters to you specifically. Ryan is not unusual. Ryan is the average American credit card holder, and if his math looks like your math, then what he did next is exactly what you need to hear. Ryan did not sleep that Tuesday night. He had run the numbers. $11,200 across 3 cards at an average interest rate of 26%, paying minimums. The payoff date, assuming he never added another dollar of new charges, was 31 years away. 31 years. He was 28. He would be 59 years old and still paying for purchases he could not even remember making, for experiences that had faded years ago, for emergencies that had long since passed. And the total he would pay? $27,400 on $11,200 of debt. For a few seconds, Ryan just sat there, not panicking, not crying, just sitting with the reality of a number that had been hiding in plain sight on every statement he had received for 3 years, and that he had never once actually calculated. Stay with me, because this is where it gets dark, and also where the story turns. Because Ryan did not close the calculator and go to bed. Ryan opened a second tab and looked up something called the debt avalanche method. Then he looked up balance transfer cards. Then he calculated what would happen if he redirected just $400 per month, money he identified by going through his last 3 months of bank statements, toward his highest interest card first while paying minimums on the others. The new payoff date, 2 years and 4 months. The total interest paid, $1,900 instead of $27,400. He saved $25,500 just by running a calculation on a Tuesday night and changing where $400 per month went. That is what is waiting on the other side of this blueprint. Write this down, because this is what the credit card companies spend billions hoping you never learn. This is the exact framework Ryan used to eliminate $11,200 of credit card debt in under 3 years, starting with 0 extra income and 0 windfalls. Step 1. Run your real payoff calculation today. Not tomorrow, today. Go to any free online debt payoff calculator. Enter every credit card balance, every interest rate, and your current minimum payment. Then look at the payoff date and total interest column. Do not filter it through optimism. Read the actual number. Write it down. Ryan described that number as the moment he stopped being passive about his debt and started treating it like the emergency it actually was. Your number is your starting point. Step 2. Execute the debt avalanche method, the mathematically optimal payoff strategy. This is what they do not teach you. List all your credit card balances from highest interest rate to lowest. Pay the absolute minimum on every card except the one with the highest interest rate. Put every extra dollar you can find toward that one card until it is completely eliminated. Then roll that entire payment, minimum plus extra, onto the next highest rate card. Repeat until every card is zero. Ryan eliminated his first card in 7 months using this method. The psychological momentum of eliminating one card completely changed his relationship with debt permanently. Step 3. Execute a balance transfer if your credit score qualifies. This is what they will never tell you at the bank. If your credit score is above 650, you likely qualify for a 0% balance transfer card, where you can move your existing high-interest balance to a new card with 0% interest for 12 to 21 months. Ryan transferred $6,000 to a 0% card. Instead of paying 26% interest while paying it down, he paid zero. That one move saved him over $2,000 in interest during the payoff period. The key rule: cut up the new card immediately after the transfer and commit to paying the balance in full before the promotional period ends. Step 4. Find your $400. It is already in your spending. Ryan did not earn extra income to accelerate his payoff. He audited 3 months of bank statements and identified $400 per month in spending that was either forgotten, duplicated, or pure status performance. Subscriptions he had forgotten about. Streaming services he never used. Restaurants that were about convenience rather than enjoyment. Redirecting those $400 changed his payoff timeline from 31 years to 2 years and 4 months. Your $400 is in there. The audit will find it. Step 5. Freeze the cycle at the source. Permanently change how you use credit. This is what they will never teach you, and it is the step most people skip, which is why most people that end up back in debt within 3 years of paying it off. The credit card is not the problem. Your relationship with it is. Ryan implemented one rule after paying off his debt. He would only charge what he could pay in full at the end of every month, no exceptions. Every purchase was evaluated not as a credit purchase but as a cash purchase. That single rule, which costs nothing to implement, prevented him from ever carrying a balance again. This is what they will never teach you, and now you know it. Remember what I told you at the very beginning. $1 trillion, built on your financial confusion, built on a minimum payment you have been paying without ever running the calculation behind it. Ryan ran the calculation on a Tuesday night and saved $25,005, not by earning more, not by getting lucky, by understanding the exact math that the credit card company hoped he would never run, and then pointing $400 per month in a different direction. Here is the reframe that should stay with you. The credit card is not inherently evil. It is a tool, and like any tool, the outcome depends entirely on who controls it, you or them. Right now, for 80% of Americans carrying a balance, the bank controls the tool. The minimum payment is their number. The interest rate is their profit. The payoff timeline is their revenue schedule. The blueprint you just received flips every one of those variables in your favor. 31 years to 2 years and 4 months. $27,400 to $1,900. The same debt, the same income, a completely different result. If this hit different, save this video. You are going to want to come back to this. And the next time you tap your card without thinking about it, remember that somewhere, in a boardroom, someone is counting on you not thinking about it. The trap only works if you stay in it.